guys, it's Cody and I'm back here again for our underrated sequels video, and today I'm going to talk about a sequel that I think gets way too much hate, but I do understand why people dislike it. This is a sequel to a movie that I consider a classic. You know, it's a classic movie. It's one that so many people have grown up with. It's a childhood favorite among so many people, and the movie I'm going to talk about today is Gremlins 2: The New Batch. And like I said, the original Gremlins movie is a classic movie in my opinion, and I think a lot of people can agree. It's definitely one movie that a lot of people have, they've grown up watching. It's a great family film. Even though it's got some spooky moments, it also has some great comedy in it. And of course, Joe Dante and Steven Spielberg. It has just two great names attached to this movie, and I think that's one reason why it's lived on for generations, and it's a true classic movie. But I do understand why people, they don't like the second movie, and I think one of the reasons is because it's so cheesy. It's over the top and it's cheesy. Now, the first movie did have some pretty cheesy and goofy moments in it, but it also had a few spooky moments. I remember when I was a kid, I was kind of creeped out by a couple of scenes. There wasn't anything that really creeped me out or scared me or anything like that, but I could see if a younger kid saw it, they would be creeped out by the first movie. And the second movie really doesn't have that many scenes. There are a few spookier moments, but for the most part, it's a really cheesy and kind of an over-the-top sequel. So yeah, like I do in these videos, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about the movie. I'm mostly just going to be talking about what I think about the movie. But I am going to give a brief description. In this one, you have Billy and you have Kate, and they've moved to New York, and they're working in this huge building that I guess you could say is a building that has this new technology in it. Like, for instance, if you get into the elevator, you just tell the elevator what floor you want to go to, and it'll take you to that floor. There's a lot of automatic things, automatic doors. Or there's one scene in the movie where Bill is just sort of sitting there talking to Kate, and the lights in his cubicle turn off. And Kate says, "Oh, the building thinks you left. It's saving energy. Just jump around a little bit." So the building has this at that point in time, this sort of high-tech technology in it. And the guy who owns it, Mr. Clamp, he's in a way you can tell he feels like he's a sort of a celebrity in a way. Like, he's done a lot of things for the town. He runs this thing called Clamp Industries, which is a whole bunch of different things. One of the things is he has a TV station, which I think one of my favorite characters in the movie was the guy who played what was it, Grandpa Fred, I believe his name is, I think it's Grandpa Fred, who is just basically this older man who dresses up like Dracula, and he hosts horror movies that they play on the Clamp cable network, which I think is really something I wish that they'd bring back. Now, I didn't grow up with horror hosts, that was before my time, but I do think that it'd be really cool if they actually got like somebody to dress up like a Dracula character or a zombie character or somebody like that, and it'd be really cool to see them have a character like that hosts horror movies today. Like, it'd be cool if Sci-Fi did it. Well, Sci-Fi doesn't really do, I'd say I think AMC would, I don't know, I'm getting off track, but I think it'd be really cool if AMC or somebody would get an actor, dress up like a Dracula character or something, and host horror movies. I think that's something that's really cool, and I think that's why I really enjoyed that character. But, like I said, Mr. Clamp, he did so many things for New York, for the town and everything like that, and he's a very rich and very powerful man, and he sort of sees himself as this sort of a celebrity type character, like I said, but once you actually meet him in the movie, you can tell that he's more down to earth, and he's a likable character. But, Bill, he doesn't seem, he's not super happy with his job. He thinks he just doesn't think he gets as much recognition as he deserves until Clamp sees one of his drawings that he does for a new building that they're putting in, and then, of course, he starts getting well known. But, of course, Gizmo's back in this one, and you find out that some of the men who work for Clamp want to buy the area where the old man has his building, and he unfortunately dies, and so they end up demolishing the building. And Gizmo, of course, escapes, and then a couple of men who work in a laboratory in for Clamp Industries. He finds one of the men find Gizmo and bring him in there. And Christopher Lee is in this, and he plays the main scientist, which is very cool. And they start doing some experiments on Gizmo. And of course, things go on, and Gizmo ends up getting wet, and the Gremlins are back. And that's just a really short description of the movie. Like I said, I don't like to go into the movies per se. I like to talk a bit about what I enjoy about them as opposed to what it's about. But, of course, the Gremlins are back. And one thing I love about this is that each of the Gremlins has their own sort of thing in this one. Like I'll show these three guys. This is the old school Snapper case release. These are the three Gremlins that you follow around a lot. Of course, you have this Stripe at the bottom, and you got this one guy in the middle who's kind of like the gruff type Gremlin character, and then you have this one who's a really dumb type Gremlin who sorry, my dog's barking. Really, hang on a sec. Wendy, stop barking. Wendy, stop barking. She barks at everybody. But yeah, like I said, you have these three Gremlins in it, and one of them is really dumb. They each have their own sort of their own characteristic and their own sort of thing. Like there's also this one Gremlin who ends up drinking something in the laboratory, and he ends up being able to speak, which I think is it's kind of goofy in a way, but it's also pretty cool because it's something that wasn't in the first movie. You get one Gremlin who he grows wings, flies around. You get another one that transforms into a giant spider, and that's what I loved about this movie, of how each of the Gremlins had their own thing that made them unique from the first movie, because in the first movie they were just little creatures running around, but in this one, one of them can fly, one of them can talk, one of them, is a spider, which I thought was very, very cool. They have their own characteristics and their own, their own type of character in this movie. Of course, you get a lot of characters, or you get a few of the characters from the first movie coming back, even the Futtermans from the first movie, so it was nice seeing them. But yeah, like I said, this is definitely one movie that it's really cheesy and goofy in a lot of moments. Especially one of the probably goofier scenes is when the Gremlins, there's supposed to be a scene where they get into like the it would be as if you were watching the movie in the theater, and there's supposed to be a scene where it's like they get into the projection screen, and they start where they're showing the movie, and they start putting ham puppets on the screen, and they start ripping to the and they start changing the screen to different things. Like at one point, there's a scene from a old classic Warner Brothers cartoon, and just different things like that. Like they're changing the movie. If you watch it in the theater, it's like they're changing the movie. And there's one scene where one of the people who work at this movie theater gets angry, and he goes to Hulk Hogan, which it's just a random cameo, and Hulk Hogan says, "Okay, Gremlins, when people come see this movie, when people come to the theater, they want to get cold drinks, hot popcorn, and no Gremlins in the projection booth. Now you better turn the movie back on, or I'm going to come up there." And stuff like that. It's really, really goofy, but I find it really humorous. I think it's pretty funny. But yeah, the whole movie's filled with that, and of course, the Gremlins, they mostly stay in the same building. They don't leave the building, which I think is one thing that I think it would have been cool if they actually did get out of the building and go around New York. But at the same time, I don't see how they would be able to be stopped at the end of the movie. They go through different things, like they go through they go through like the different areas of the building, like the eating area, and they go through like the mall type. Well, it's not really a mall type area. There's an area where there's a lot of restaurants there, and they get into like the ice cream toppings and things like that, and they just get into a whole bunch of mischief. But yeah, like I said, this movie's really over the top and goofy, and it's definitely one movie that I can understand why people dislike it, because it's so different from the first movie. But it also has some good, some similarities to the first movie that is, of course, I think really adds to it, and it gives you the similarity of the first movie, and it reminds you of the first film. Like, of course, Gizmo, of course, he's still the same as he usually was. And of course, Joe Dante, he directed this one, so it still has that sort of feeling of it has the feeling of the first movie, but it's done in a kind of an over-the-top way. So I mean, I really do understand why people dislike this movie. I hear a lot of people absolutely hate this movie, but honestly, if you think about it, in my opinion, I mean, I'm not saying that you should change your opinion on it, but I'm saying, in my opinion, I think for a sequel, I think it's a pretty good sequel. They took the idea of the first movie and brought it to New York, brought it to like a huge building, and they created different characteristics for the Gremlins, and they really upped up the antics in this one, and that's why I think it's a good sequel. And it does have a lot of good moments, I think, and I just really think it's definitely one movie that's overlooked, but I also know that there's a lot of people who love this movie and they understand what they were going for and they enjoy it for what it is, which I think is also great. So, I think it's mixed. Some people they enjoy it, some people they like it, some people they hate it. I'm one of the majority of people that really enjoy this movie, and I want to know what you guys think. Do you guys enjoy Gremlins 2? Do you like it? Do you think it's a good sequel, or do you dislike it because it's so different from the original? And, just let me know down in the comments. Do you enjoy Gremlins 2? Are you one of the people that enjoy it, or are you one of the people that hate it? Let me know. Anyway, guys, that was my video of talking about Gremlins 2 and why I think it's an underrated sequel. Let me know what you guys think about this video, and if you like it, give it a thumbs up. And like I said, let me know what you guys think about Gremlins 2. Anyway, guys, I hope everyone enjoyed this video. I'll also give a brief, sort of job update. Just like last week, I'm only working one day this week, which, I really hope that eventually I'll start working more days. But at least that gives me more time to record videos, so you will be seeing, about I'd say two more videos up this week. So stay tuned for those. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.